Hello everyone, this is part 5 of our video. Look at that, we are going to be close to Game of Thrones size here once we're done with this project. That was an HBO joke, I don't know how many of you got that. Okay, so what I want to talk to you about, hopefully this will be the last video. What I want to talk to you about is two things: how to change your baseline and how to make your score look better. Um, let's talk about the baseline because some of you have had questions how to build the Alberti base from this sketch that you have over here. If you take a look at the journey example that I've given you, the little exercises, I've given you those because journey is really good about starting up a chordal structure just like we have with simply left-hand chords and moving along into changing it into a variety of patterns. So I'm going to do the same thing. The Alberti bass, remember, it's a pattern where you're going to have the triad being introduced separately each note. So instead of having the C, E, G triad like we have over here, we are going to have each one of these notes introduced separately. Now the Alberti bass is typical for a 4-4 or a 2-4 type of measure. For this particular exercise, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an Alberti bass that is features 8-note values. So first of all, what I need to do is I need to get rid of my chord here. So I'm just going to select it and then press delete. Okay, and then the Alberti bass has to be either 8 notes or 16 notes. It cannot be quarter notes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to select 8 notes. So on my keypad I'm going to select the 8-note value, and then I'm going to write the same chord as 8 notes but introducing each note separately. So first is going to be the bass note, which happens to be C. Then next is going to be the note that's furthest apart, so it's the bottom note, then the top note, and Sibelius doesn't like that, so I have to change it myself. And then I'm going to introduce the middle note, and then I'm going to introduce the top note again. So this is my Alberti bass. Now I'm going to have to repeat the same pattern so I can get my entire measure covered here. Sorry about that. Sibelius again doesn't obey, so I need to take this up by control down arrow, down an octave. Here's the G again, so I have to use control up arrow. Okay, good. Now here's the thing. Next I have a 4-6-4 that I'm going to use. The reason why for that is because I want to make sure I don't have any parallel fifths. What I mean by that is we still have to be concerned of parallel fifths between, especially between the Alberti bass, not necessarily between the left and the right hand. Those are fine. Those you can hide in the melody notes, but between this particular pattern. So let's say, for example, let me get rid of this really quickly. Sorry about that. That's pretty dissonant. Let's say, for example, that I want to use a 4 chord in root position, and I'm simply going to write an F-A-C chord. So I'm going to write the F in the bass, because if it's root position, the F is going to be the lowest pitch. Sorry about that. I forgot to select the 8th note as my note value. Okay, here's F. Control down, here we go. Then C, and then A, C, okay. So it looks good, right? I mean, let's. Oh, sorry about that. That was terrible. Okay, Control Z. Remember, guys, Control Z is a lifesaver. Um, let's play this and see what happens. Okay, that sounded pretty good, right? That sounded okay. It wasn't bad. However, here's the issue. If we take a look at what happens between the downbeats here, see C to the G going to a downbeat here to a parallel. We have parallel fifths. So we have to make sure that we don't have that in our uh, pattern. So instead of using a 4 root position, I'm gonna do this correctly. I'm gonna use a 4 chord in first inversion. So A is going to be in a bass. I'm just gonna drag this guy over here. Uh, okay, so instead of using my 4/6/4, since I really didn't like using that chord because it wasn't really a proper use of a 6/4, I'm just gonna go ahead and use a 4/6 instead, and then just change my Roman numeral here. So just get rid of the 4/6/4. Um, so that's pretty much how you use your Alberti bass. So my chord originally was F A C, correct? But because it's a 4/6, it's A's in the bass, C, and then F. So, and it's important for it to be in close position so it stays under the hand. So you can actually play it if you're a pianist. That's why I wouldn't necessarily put the A over here and then use use this pattern, for example. Even though this kind of looks like an Alberti bass, it's not. The Alberti bass is always going to be the bottom note, the top note, the middle note, and then the top note. Okay, that's the Alberti bass. This is nothing. This is not the Alberti bass. Okay, so I have to shift it back. So don't, when you write this particular pattern, stay very, if you're using the Alberti bass, stay very close to to the, to the, to this particular one. It has to be a closed position. It has to be under the hand. And it has to look like this. All right, so good. What I'm going to do is I'm going to finish my little exercise, and then I will get back to you. All right, so back to us here. As you've noticed, I've built my little Alberti bass pattern. And let's listen to this beautiful thing. Oh, beautiful. Look at that. I just noticed I have a 5/6/5 chord that doesn't have a 7. So here's what you can do. Rather than changing my Alberti bass, I'm just gonna use the F here. Actually, no. I'm gonna change my Alberti bass. I'm just gonna go ahead and move this note, if it can do that, to an F. And then I get my 5/6/5, and that resolves down by step. So as you notice, I've avoided any parallelism because I'm using a parallel period. The material from here is very similar to this one over here. Uh, so now I'm going to try to make this one better. First of all, I'm going to add some dynamics. Adding dynamics in sibelius is very simple. All you have to do is you select the note where you want the dynamics to be. So let's say at the beginning, because I try to be a decent composer, I'm going to give my player an idea of what I want him to play. So I want to start loud, okay? So to add dynamics, you're going to press Control E. And then if you use the right click here where the cursor is, you should, there you go, dynamics marks. And I want forte, beautiful. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and select this one. Let's say that maybe I want to do a little bit of a decrescendo, and here I want a mezzo forte. So I'm going to select the note where I want to set up the mezzo forte, the D. Select the right hand note, not the left hand, because if you select the left hand, he's going to put it underneath here, and that's not the proper piano dynamics, as most of you, all of you know, should I say. Then I'm going to use again Control E. Cursor comes up. I'm going to use the right click. I'm going to say mezzo forte. Very good. And I'm going to go head over here, and I'm going to try to go for some contrast between this one and this one. I'm going to use piano there. It's not, as I said, it's not the best, the most complex thing in the world, but whatever. We'll use piano, and then at the end, I'm going to do a crescendo, and I'm going to use forte. So here, we're going to have forte. Right click again. Good. If you want, oh, you know what? I'm going to use a crescendo here, so I can. Now I'm going to use a crescendo here. You see, the beautiful thing about being a composer is that you can sort of play around with these. And you can use whatever else you have here. So let's see, do I have crescendo here? I do. Look at that. Crescendo. I can write that in. Let's say I want an accent here. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can find myself an accent. I have one right on my keypad. Here you go. Alright, so that's pretty much dynamics. Here you can go ahead and use a decrescendo if you want, from the forte to the mezzo forte, or we can use a hairpin. If you want to use a hairpin, simply select the note that you want the hairpin to begin, and then press H, and you see you have the little hairpin, and if you want that to increase, keep on pressing the space bar. So I'm going to have this hairpin, and if you want to decrease, just shift it with the cursor to the left. And I'm going to have this hairpin go all the way to mezzo forte. Alright, but I'm not done. I'm also going to be very mindful of of articulations. So I'm going to use slurs. Okay, so I'm going to select this. I'm going to press S for the slur. Very good. So I have a group of 2 notes. And then this one kind of looks like very good under the hand here. So I'm just going to go ahead and use it here. And then to extend the slur, I keep pressing the space bar. Okay. Another 2-note slur here. Very classical. Another 2-note slur here. If you want, you can use staccato here. By the way, you can select all these notes and then just press the staccato, and you should have it. The staccato is on your keypad there. There we go. Then just play around with it. You guys get the drift. Here's now a slur. Alright. Let's use a tenuto sign there for that D, just cause. I know you're trying to be a good composer here. Very good. So that's how the score starts to look like an actual musical score. And what you could do here, since we're using the same material, is copy and paste it. You don't have to redo all that. Just go Control V. There you go. If you Control and paste it, yeah, we need to change this back to a piano. They used to be piano. That's true. So you get the point. All right. Okay, guys. So here's how this goes.